Hi everyone, let's talk today about the color mixing and what red and orange will make when mixed together. So as you know, I always test a few different shades of reds and oranges or any colors I'm mixing, but traditionally what everyone will tell you that red and orange will make a vermilion color, and a vermilion color is a red orange color, very vibrant, very vivid, but also not overpowering red. Especially if we will add gradually more water, we will see how it goes closer to orange side of the color wheel. But nevertheless, a vermilion is the base color that red and orange can make. But we also remember that there are different shades of reds and oranges, and also different temperatures of red and orange. So vermilion by itself is a warm red. And typically when we mix warm colors, so if we will mix warm red with warm orange, we will get something closer to vermilion, depending on how much red or orange we will add. But if we will mix a cooler shade of red, for example, something like a magenta or even crimson, which is also cooler shade, we will see what where this gets us, because normally the general rule of color mixing that we shall not mix cool and warm colors because it will create mud. So let's see what general colors will make, and if it will make vermilion, if it will make brown or any other colors. But also before I start, I wanted to say that actually we have a vermilion red in tubes. It's available, but you probably will not find it as available as it was maybe in 19th century, because to produce vermilion they were using minerals that were high in mercury, and it was highly toxic, as you can imagine. So they stopped and they switched in 20th around that time century to cadmium, which now we also know is like a cancerogenic element. But anyway, both vermilion and cadmium paints, they're safe to use today. But why we see less vermilion today and more cadmium? Because technically this is what happened. Cadmium came to production, and it was easier to make synthetic pigments, synthetic reds with the cadmium than with vermilion. So they switched to cadmium, all the paint brands and paint manufacturers. So that's why cadmium red is now what we know as a staple red. But before that, before 20th century, it was pretty much vermilion that was considered to be the go-to kind of red hue. So I will see how they're different, and for the sake of the experiment, I will not be using vermilion as one of the reds, because as all the sources state, that's exactly the color we will get. So I'll set it aside. And also, of course, we should keep in mind what is the color we are using, because you can see even based on the tubes that some colors are more red, some colors look cooler, of course, like magenta, some colors look more orangey. So of course then we mix them with orange, the orange tint will prevail, and we will have like more on the orange shade color, and otherwise it will be more on the red shade. So let's get to test it. So first we're testing cadmium red and azo orange. Let's see what it gets. For now, I'm trying to make it 1-to-1 color combination, so we can judge based on just equal amount of paint. And it looks very nice. It looks, I think, very close to vermilion, maybe more on the orange side of it. But yes, it is red, orange, definitely. But I also have a different orange, because we can see compared to cadmium orange, the other orange looks much, much lighter. So let's see what cadmium red and cadmium orange will give us. You can already see that compared to other orange, this is much more vivid, much closer to vermilion. So we can already say that the orange shade will also be important into mixing the perfect red for you, the perfect vermilion. So yes, that's a nice, very nice red. Now let's see the scarlet color, and again 2 oranges. The scarlet has less orange compared to vermilion, so it's still a warm red shade, and it's much redder than vermilion. Here we have azo orange that is lighter, and here we have cadmium orange that is much darker. Just closer to orange, I would say, red orange. I guess if we add a little bit more red to it, a little bit more scarlet, it will become redder. Of course, it's not even as orange as cadmium orange. It's much darker, much more vivid and intense color, closer to red, but it's not completely red and not completely orange. So it is a shade, a red-orange shade of color, and if we add more scarlet to it, it will come closer to what we had when we mixed cadmium red with different oranges. Now let's see darker orange, cadmium orange. Yeah, it does make closer to vermilion, but they are pretty close to each other actually. You cannot really tell the difference. You will only be able to notice the difference on white paper when even the slighter difference is visible, and you will see that these colors are lighter, and when we mix medium orange, the colors become darker, more vibrant, more intense, and closer to red. But in general, you see when we use cadmium or red or scarlet red, it does not make a big difference. It is still red-orange shade closer to vermilion. Yeah, let's compare again them to vermilion that we swatched in the beginning. I would say that they are both very, very, very close to what vermilion is in the tube. So I don't think there is much of a need to test other warm shades because they are all pretty much the same. What I want to do, I want to test a cool reds. Naphthol, this naphthol looks cool, but a traditional naphthol is quite warm. Let's see what it is on the palette. And the magenta. Magenta is what I'm interested in. Again, I have here azo orange and cadmium orange, and I think I will add a little bit more red once we done mixing, because I think I have here more orange than red. Yes. And I'll add here. So yeah, as you can see, even though it is a cooler shade of red, it still gives us a very, very nice vermilion color. It has a very nice tone to it. I'll show you in a second on paper how it looks. Let's see with the cadmium orange. With cadmium orange, when I mix, you can even almost see underneath how it almost makes like a purple color when they're mixed together. And it's a completely different result from a lighter orange. Completely different result. It more like a hot pink almost, I would say. I will also show you on paper in a second. Absolutely beautiful color. Here how it looks on paper, these two colors. So this one is with azo, and you can see how it's like a very nice color, even compared to what we mixed with warmer reds. It's still kind of in the same shade, maybe a little bit duller, but very beautiful. And this color that we mixed with cadmium or orange, it actually looks pinker. It looks pink. Of course, camera cannot. I will also attach the article, link to my article with all the photo swatches where you can see the difference of the colors. And I want to try the naphthol red, like I told you. Yes, the tube looked a little cooler, but it's still the same warm shade as we know. And what I want to do is I want to test just a little tiny bit of orange. I hope I can squeeze just a tiny bit to see how the mix will work out when there's just a tiny bit of orange, because we also know when there's a darker and lighter color in the mix, it's easier to mix a bit of darker color in a lot of lighter color than a lot of light color in dark color, because dark color will always be overpowering. So yeah, the color with less orange to it will look lighter, but still it is within the red orange shades, within the vermilion shades, as you can see. Very nice colors. So yes, as you can see, we tested different shades of red, warm and even cooler shades, and we can tell definitely that red and orange will make a vermilion color. However, that wouldn't be me if I wouldn't test a different medium. I also want to test acrylic gouache. It's pretty much a mix between gouache and acrylics. And I want to test because they have a slightly different orange. It's a deep yellow, but it's what translates to us in orange, I would say. It has a different consistency. And it also had scarlet red in the set. That's a Holbein acrylic gouache, Acrylic. And it has carmine. I did not test carmine because I don't have carmine in my acrylics, so I think it's great that I can test it here. I don't know why I squeezed 3. Well, I got excited. So deep yellow, kind of orange shade as well with scarlet. It's more like, yeah, it's still the same red orange. And with carmine. With carmine, it's pretty much the same, not the same, but close to what we had with primary magenta. It is not as pink, but it's much darker. Very vivid color. It has some pink to it. Very beautiful color, and you can see how this one is more orangey and this one is almost like a brown color, but it's not brown, it's red, it's like brick color, I would say. So yeah, it is a vermilion color, closer to vermilion than in this case scarlet, because here scarlet is also quite light. So yeah, that's another confirmation for us that even in like acrylic, gouache, red and orange shade, like yellow, deep or orange, will make lighter red, red, orange or vermilion. And that's my swatches. One more time, this was our starter, this was our vermilion, which is said to be the result of mixing orange and red, and that's how we tested the cadmium red with two different oranges, scarlet red with two different oranges, primary magenta, cool shade of red with two different oranges, and also naphtha red and carmine and scarlet in acrylic gouache. And as you can see, pretty much all of them except for primary magenta with cadmium orange make somehow vermilion, or maybe lighter or slightly darker shade of red orange, which is vermilion. And primary magenta is the only one that makes a red color that goes closer to pink, so closer to cooler shade of it, or like almost like hot pink or the variation of magenta, but it's still a very nice, beautiful color. So yeah, here what we can have when we mix red and orange. I hope that helped you learn some color mixing. Thank you.